Hey everyone, and welcome to the top malware threats of January 2025. This is presented by Casmer Labs, Cluster Security's internal threat laboratory. We have a couple strains of malware that we've identified as growing in popularity in 2025. So we're actually going to pull them up on the screen for you. We're going to show you what they look like, how to detect them, and what they would actually do if they detonated on your local machine or endpoint. My name's Connor. I'm the product manager here at Cluster Security. And I'm here with Velazar, who's a customer success manager, also here at CSS. With that being said, we're going to jump right into it here. So the top 3 malware families that we detected in January start with SnakeKeylogger. This was number 1. And this is a pretty widely distributed, it's an info stealer and actually targets credentials. So think AWS login, personal sites, things like that is what it actually steals and then attempts to exfiltrate. The second was Rusty Stealer. This is a pretty potent Trojan that goes after sensitive data. So it will attempt to locate sensitive data, and then it will go ahead and try to exfiltrate that from your local machine as well. And the third one is Mirai. This is not anything super new, but it's still very popular. It's a botnet basically that targets regular IoT devices and then goes ahead and uses them to launch DDoS attacks. When we talk about common file types associated with malware, we're going to start with ELF, executable and linkable format. So that's just around 44% of cases, and they primarily affect Linux systems, so servers and other IoT devices. Going down to number 2, no surprises here, is Windows executable or EXE. So that's in 41% of cases. And again, threat to Windows users, and these are most commonly delivered by phishing, emails, or malicious downloads, things like that, social engineering as a whole. And then third is shell scripts. So those are about 9% of cases, and they can target both Linux and Mac OS users. So they're actually used to execute automation and attacks. Down at 4% and 2% of cases, respectively, are PS1 or PowerShell scripts. So, the ability to execute commands on Windows systems. And those are kind of useful for lateral movement, between networks. And then we have zip, compressed archives, think, 7-zip, WinRAR, just regular old zip files. And this is another common delivery method. And so once they're kind of unpacked, they have malicious scripts or other executables, as you can see above, kind of contained within there. Now, Velazar is going to share his screen, and he's going to actually run through SnakeKeylogger, what it looks like, how you can detect it, and most importantly, what it would actually do if it went ahead and landed and then detonated on a local machine or an endpoint.
Awesome. Thanks, Connor. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And real quick, we'll take a look at a sample of the SnakeKeylogger that we found. As you can see here, it looks like this object has been found to be infected by our solution. And if we go into our solution and take a look at the specific finding for this object, we can see how each scanning engine that we use is treating it. In this case, it looks like our CSS Premium engine has found it to be infected. The Sophos engine has found it to be suspicious. And in this case, it looks like ClamAV has found it to be clean. This is a great example of why multi-engine scanning is important, and using our multi-engine scanning functionality is crucial, because in order to increase the efficacy of your scan, you need to be able to scan with multiple scanning engines. Not every single scanning engine will be able to pick up the same piece of malware, and each scanning engine has their own virus signatures that they use. So increasing that efficacy of your scan increases the chances of an infected file being found. Now, once this file has been found, we can review it, and we can also perform additional analysis on it through our solution. So we can actually go ahead and run a static analysis on the object itself. And what this will do is it will send the hash of the file over to Sophos's Cloud Sandbox, and it will run an analysis on the reputation of the file. It will also return details for a virus total report that you can review to see how other scanning engines treat that object and treat this particular malware identity. Along with a static analysis report, we can also run a dynamic analysis on the object as well. So we can see the object fully detonated and executed in the cloud. And as you can see here, not only will it execute it, but it will also give you details such as mapping the process the file is trying to execute over to the MITRE attack matrix. And you can see these details as they relate to each section of the attack matrix. Along with that, it'll run a secondary AV scan on the cloud sandbox, and it'll also give you details on what the file is trying to do. It looks like in this case, there's some networking anomalies happening, and that secondary AV scan has triggered a detection as well. In addition to that, you'll see full details on the specific identity. You'll see details on the IP addresses that this piece of malware is trying to connect to, which is great because you can trace these IPs to see who they're owned by, if they're legitimate or not, so on and so forth, and use that as part of your investigation. Along with that, we'll generate an activity tree, and this activity tree will give you a full breakdown of what the file is trying to do. The directories it's trying to write to, the IP addresses it's trying to connect to, so on and so forth. So you'll be able to get a full overview of what actually happens when this file is opened and executed. So that's just a quick, brief overview of this Snake malware. And you'll be able to, if you find it, you'll be able to run additional analysis on it through our solution. And yeah, that's it for today. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We hope you thought it was helpful. And stay tuned. We're going to be doing these for new pieces of malware as we catch wind of them. So thanks so much for your time today, and we'll talk to you guys soon.